I might cry. I feel like I feel so much. I'm not even a big DK guy. I mean, like, sure, he's always been a part of my life, you know? Got my Super NES. What was the first game I got? Is Donkey Kong Country, of course. You know, and I love DKC Returns, Tropical Freeze, favorite 2D platformer ever. I never considered myself like a big fan of the guy in particular. I like him a lot, but I am a big fan of this kind of game. You know, I am a big fan of the Nintendo quality and Nintendo style 3D platformer. And for a long time, I have complained quite loudly about how I wish there were more 3D platformers. 2D platformers are fine. They're fun in their own way. They're just not really usually my cup of tea. And I feel like even the greater audiences, we're looking for bigger stuff. And there have been rumors about a new DK game for a couple years now. And it was one of those things where, like, I could not get my hopes up. I could not. I didn't know how they would do a new Donkey Kong game in 2D if Retro Studios wasn't doing it. Like, if Miyamoto came back and had a bigger hand in the project, and they wanted to do another 2D one, but, like, how do they separate from what Retro Studios did? How do you follow that? How do you, like, you know, people are going to be comparing the two. So I didn't know how they would do it, but I thought that's probably what they would do, just because there are some things that would hurt too much if you get your hopes up. I just wasn't betting on it. I want a new 3D DK. I've wanted it for a long time. I want a new 3D everything. Every Nintendo series that has classically been 2D platformers. I want them all to go 3D. And Kirby finally did. And that did give me some renewed hope. But still, I still couldn't count on it. And so now, we are getting this 3D DK game. It's funny because, yeah, I was really betting on 3D Mario, because they have to be cooking that. They have to be close to done. Bowser's Fury was a small game, and that released like 5 years ago now. And so they have to be working on that. I mean, like, it could be a lot of the same team. This looks like a Mario game in quality and style for the most part. So I wouldn't be surprised a lot of the same team. But, like, they can't... It's not like they haven't started the next 3D Mario yet. It's not like they've been working exclusively on this. Whatever, I don't know, whatever. I was so sure we'd get a new 3D Mario that even my little, like, the little red flag was going off. That thing where it's like, when you're too sure about what Nintendo's gonna do, you know what happens, right? But even then, I still was like, no, it's gotta be. So to not get a 3D Mario trailer, but to get this instead. This, not only a 3D DK trailer, but a perfect 3D DK trailer. A 3D DK that looks to be everything I could possibly want. Perfect. Because even, like, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I love it. I love it to pieces. It's beautiful. It's a work of art, genuinely. But there's always been, like, that little tiny part of me that's, like, a little bit disappointed that the levels were still kind of linear. I'm always going to love a big open world kind of thing. And that serves the game. And it represents, like, Kirby's, like, DNA in a better way. So I'm not even saying they shouldn't have done it. There's just that little part of me that's like, yeah, I hope at least someday we get a more open Kirby experience. So now it's not just a 3D DK. They didn't do the Kirby thing. This is big. I'm going through the trailer and I'm looking at these environments and they're so big and they're so open, and it's clear that there's going to be a lot of just, like, open exploration. and I could cry. It just looks so good. The trailer it shows off so many different areas. So many of these huge, beautiful vistas, these creative and interesting places. And, you know, I'm not going frame by frame. I'm not going to try to analyze everything that I see here. We'll know more about this later, and in fact, there'll probably be like a treehouse thing on it. The game comes out in 4 months. 4 stinking months is all we have to wait for that. This is the kind of game they could reveal and then, like, you don't hear about it for a year, you know? But, like, no, we're going to be playing it in 4 months. So I would not be surprised if we get to see the game in action tomorrow or the next day. But whatever. There's just so many different environments, and scattered throughout these environments, there's just so much stuff. There's like what looks like there's NPCs, and there are objects and enemies and just things to interact with. It's more than you can even take in. It just looks like this playground, this treasure trove of stuff to do. And there's gonna be like even more stuff to do than you can even glean from these images, because of all of these cool new mechanics. I love the whole entire idea. It's the DK. It's a digging thing. It's a mining thing. That's like the theme of the game. He can like dig underground, and oh man, everything is just destructible. It makes so much sense, because like, what is DK? What does he do? He's big and he's strong. He's not just an ape. He's not just a guy who's gonna run around and swing and climb. He's also this big, beefy, strong guy. So there is such a humongous emphasis on destruction, on just picking stuff up and throwing it around. And of course, it's a next-gen game, so they're using all that extra processing power, like Astrobot did, just to give us all of these physics-based things with lots and lots of different breakable pieces and elements. He's just picking up huge chunks of ground and just throwing them at other chunks of ground, and like revealing like gems and stuff. Sometimes it's not even like obvious what's breakable. I bet like when we play it, it'll probably be more obvious. Maybe certain types of earth will be like, oh yeah, I can tell this is like a mound that you can break. But at least from the trailer, it looks like he's just taking a rock and throwing it at a random piece of ground, and it just busts open, and gems and stuff go everywhere, and he's just smashing through it all. And golly, that looks satisfying. That looks so incredibly fun. I've always loved that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, it's like, it's too much. I love open-ish 3D games. I love just having a playground, a toy box, just stuff to play with. So the idea of introducing this idea where you're like breaking the ground itself, and I love collecting stuff, collecting money. So if anywhere, any place, you're just breaking stuff open and getting stuff out of the earth, that just, it seems like such a fun and satisfying thing to do. You know, it just looks really, really fun to do. I like how it is informing the overall, like, theming and visual style of the game. Yeah, I mean, like, let's talk about DK himself. You know, he even comes out with, like, a mining, like, with the light, the helmet on. New design confirmed. The old DK is, he's gone. The rare DK seems to be gone, possibly permanently. He looks more like his classic self, more like the movie version. Maybe I'll do like a video kind of talking about that later. I really don't know. But I do love how this was kind of like the official reveal of that. We've gotten little things here and there, some updated images or whatever. First off, it's the reveal that he's the star of this game, and this is a DK game. But even then, he's coming out of the shadow, and it's revealing his face for the first time. And like, sure, I loved the original design, and it's been the design that I've been familiar with for basically all of my life. But it is hard not to love this new version when I see just how expressive he is now. There are so many things to love about this trailer, and yet this is just one element that it hooks itself into my very heart. not even just the cutscenes. Like, sure, in the cutscenes, he's pulling all of these different faces. It's a lot more like Japanese, like a lot more Japanese flavored in the kinds of faces that he's making. And I know that was like a big thing with Miyamoto, you know, like DK was more Western flavored for a long time. This is kind of like a return to the Japanese style. But anyway, yeah, so like he's pulling a lot of faces in the cutscenes. But then even just in the gameplay, there's one shot in particular where he's like running past something and he turns his head to look at it. This is gameplay. This is active gameplay. Turns his head to look at it and it's kind of like, ooh, like he sees something he likes. And then when he moves past it, he turns his head back forward and kind of like smiles to himself as though he's now like thinking, ooh, yeah, that thing looked great. I'm going to get that later. It's such a little detail, and yet, like, I don't know, his smile is so broad. His face is so bright. It just, like, it lights up the screen, the teeth in the eyes. It's hard not to love, even though it is different, and it might take some getting used to. I don't think it's going to take too much getting used to. I think I'm already kind of falling in love with it. What else is there even to say? I'm just kind of going through the trailer. There's one shot where sorry, I'm bouncing around. It looks like just a regular piece of ground. And he's just running down a corridor and then stops and just starts smashing the ground under him and digs down and then just starts digging forward and it just like works. How much of this game is going to be destructible? How often can you just go off the beaten path and just start digging and seeing where you go and what you find? I don't know. It looks so amazingly fun. It's the kind of gameplay I like, you know, you tell me 3D DK, I'm already excited, but like seeing how just like crunchy and amazing this gameplay looks. My hands are twitching. I cannot wait to get my hands on that controller. So, okay, so these environments, they're so full. They're so full of stuff to do. We see he has so many cool new moves. We see such a huge variety of just like enemies to fight. And that style though, the visual style, it's surreal seeing this with like the quality and like the stylistic flair of a Mario game, of a, you know, big professional, perfect AAA Nintendo kind of thing. But I just love to see how they have DK'd the whole thing up. It all feels like DK while also feeling very fresh and new and original. And that's the funny thing. DK himself, like we have essentially lost Rare DK. He doesn't look like Rare DK, Donkey Kong Country DK anymore. And yet, golly, I gotta wonder who's working on this game. I'm not gonna go as far as to say that like this is in collaboration with like Rare, owned by Microsoft or whatever, but like that DNA is still here. In fact, in the opening shot, like you see things with like the eyes. This trailer, this game is very like banjo coded, you know, like Banjo-Kazooie, like it's got so much of that Banjo-Kazooie feel that I almost thought for a second before I started seeing monkey stuff. I was like, Nintendo's not collaborating with Xbox, are they? To do a Banjo-Kazooie game? Because it really feels like it, and it's great. It's just great, because even if we're losing some of that like original Donkey Kong Country kind of feel, we still have this like overall Rareware style kind of permeating this whole thing in all the best ways, in all the best ways. So it's fresh and it's new and it's next gen while also being kind of grounded in that older style, still like having something of a nostalgic feeling. I can watch this and immediately see like, yes, this is a DK game. It's a modern DK game, but it's a DK game. Nothing about this is not. It's perfect DK. What else? We've got some 2D sections. They're kind of obligatory at this point. I don't know if that's just like a Nintendo thing. They just kind of feel like they have to. Just a cute little nod we gotta have the 2D sections. We have to call back, especially with like the first 3D one, right? We gotta call back to the older games. So it's fitting. I mean, I don't know. At this point, it's almost kind of a gimmick. It's just like, we get it. We get it. There's gotta be the little 2D thing. But it's cute, and I do like how some of these shots of the 2D parts kind of call back to the original Donkey Kong Country, even with like the trees. It's very iconic imagery. But even then in the trailer, and then it cuts to like him on a minecart, and it's just this incredibly huge open environment. So cool. There's so much verticality. Some of these places, like the camera like pans down, and you can just see that some of these places, they just stretch up and up and up. I only just now noticed there's a part in the trailer where he's looking at this weird little rock thing, but now, like, yeah, that little rock thing is like hanging out on his shoulder. So it seems to be like a little friend, a little like Nintendo style helper friend, but it's like this cute little rock. I love this little rock. I really, really like this little rock. I don't know. I want to know more. I don't know if it's going to talk or what, but I am a fan. There's other stuff. There's so many details. There's so much we could talk about. I'm sure, like, you know, real DK fans are probably just having a real good day poring over every single frame of this, because there's so much to take in. Lots of returning stuff. You've got the ostriches and everything. You've got this, I love the bosses, you know, it shows off like a bunch of the bosses. That's really cool. Each one is just so visually interesting, especially the end of the trailer just shows off this sequence of stuff from like cutscenes and really cool like monkey ape characters. I mean, it's like straight out of a Mario game. It really is just every single bit, every drop of the quality that you would expect. And like, you know, this trailer, it's reminding me of the Mario Odyssey trailer all over again. It's everything you could want. It's every bit as exciting and grand as you could want in a 3D DK game. It even does the old banana. There you go. There you go. What else could you want? What else could you possibly want? That's where I'm at right now with Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's just, what else could I possibly want? This is it. This is all of it. This is everything that a 3D DK could be. And yeah, it's one of those trailers that just, it's got that Nintendo magic. That magic of where you can just kind of lose yourself. You know, that's why Nintendo is great. Even as I get older, even as I you know, my tastes change. In some ways, I've kind of drifted away from some of the stuff that I enjoyed when I was younger. But to see a trailer like this, and I know to play a game like this, when Nintendo can hit you right there in that spot, make you just forget for a moment that you are an adult and you're just a kid again. I'm watching this trailer and I'm a kid again, you know, just filled with unbridled joy and optimism, just out of my mind excited to play this video game because it just looks so darn cool. Yeah, 4 months. 4 months for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I can't even believe it's not even a holiday game. Yeah, mid-year, kind of. So there you go. Can't even believe it. Just cannot even believe it.